Hi everybody, Lori here for Simon Says Stamp. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have a fun project to share with you featuring the new November Give Thanks card kit. I'm going to walk you through the contents of the kit before I get to my project. First up is the Count Blessings 4x6-inch clear stamp set. For sentiments, we have Happy Thanksgiving. May it be blessed with friendship, family, and love. Sending warm, heartfelt wishes from our home to yours. Thankful for you. Love and blessings on this Thanksgiving. Grateful to count you among my blessings. And then a little bouquet of wheat. So that is Count Blessings. Next up, we have the mini CZ Design Thanks. This is a little 3x4-inch. Perfect little sentiment stamp set. Was also part of the Sugar and Spice release. Now it's included in the November card kit. I love all those sentiments by CZ. Then we have the new red maple stencil set along with the coordinating red maple die set. So this is a layering stencil set with a coordinating die. The coordinating die also cuts a word die. Thanks. You get the outline and the shadow, so you can get some versatility there with that thanks word die. So that's the red maple layering stencil set. Also is 4 little mini Pawsitively saturated ink cubes in the shade Cabbage, Petunia, Sangria, and Honey. So these are perfect to blend some fall foliage. Also included in the kit are 10 double-sided sheets of Craft Consortium Metal Textures 6x6-inch pattern paper. There's 10 sheets, double-sided. These are, if this doesn't scream Tim Holtz, this looks like he had a craft session. They're like distressed metal looking sheets of pattern paper. Okay, you're also going to get a bottle of Ranger Mini Glossy Accents. I love glossy accents. Anytime you have a berry or something you want to just gloss it up, so handy. There's also a bottle of Tim Holtz Ranger Distress Tarnished Brass Paint. So I wanted to open this one to show you. Look at that brass paint. That's fun for the fall. You're also going to get a Ranger paintbrush for the paint. And you could also smush your inks and paint with those. There's also a jar of Tim Holtz Ranger Distress Tinsel Glitter. Again, I wanted to give you a little peek of this. It's kind of a goldish, I would say goldish champagne. It goes well with the tarnished brass paint. Those two go well together. There's also a sheet of Tim Holtz Ideology Gold 6x9-inch metallic cardstock. And 2 sheets of Simon Says Stamp, the Rainforest and the Ivory, one of my favorites. The Ivory's 100 pound, the Rainforest is 80 pound. So that's the contents of the kit. I'm going to start by blending the red maple layering stencil. So it's a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch. There's 4 stencils. Okay, so I went ahead and cut a panel of white cardstock. This is Hammermill. I'm going to hold it down on my grid mat with some Post-it tape. And then I'm just going to line up these stencils. And they match up perfectly because they're 4 1/4 by 5.5. So you don't have to worry about getting the placement right. Holding down the stencils with the Post-it tape. And I'm going to use these mini inks that come in the kit, starting with Honey. And I just pulled out some brushes that I had in similar colors. This is one of the Rainbow Splash brushes by Simon Says Stamp. I'm giving it a light wash of honey, kind of going around the perimeter here. And I'm not going heavy-handed. I'm starting light because I'm not really sure what I'm doing. I just want to make a real fallish leaf. Okay, so take that off. And then these stencils aren't really numbered, so I'm just kind of laying down the next one, and I pull out Petunia. Now, Petunia is, I would say, in the purple family, but it's very, very dusty. And I could see that I started to blend this over that honey, and you're getting mud, you're getting brown, which is not a bad thing because we're going for fall. So I went real light with Petunia, laying on the next stencil, and then I pulled out Sangria. Now, Sangria will slap you across the face, but it is gorgeous, especially for a maple leaf. And here's one thing we've been talking about as a family. Where we live here in Minnesota, I hardly see any maple trees. There's not a lot of bright red, blazing red trees right now. But anywho, Okay, laying on the 4 stencil, and I'm going to go green. I'm going to pull out that cabbage. And now, I wasn't sure. What do we got going on here with these 4 different colors? It's kind of an evolution. You don't really know what you're going to get until you see, but you got to give it a whirl. So I don't like cover the entire thing. I just kind of just go here and there willy-nilly, and then I pull it off to see what I got. Okay, so it looks okay, but to me it needs more unified. So I laid down that overall outline stencil, and I pulled out clay, one of the Pawsitively saturated inks, and I kind of went over the whole thing. Not entirely. I left the top left kind of untouched, but I went with clay, then a little dab of sangria, and I'm trying to unify all these colors, make it look more cohesive. And then I'm just going to go back over with one of the stencils with sangria and just try to pump up the volume. I want to get more red in there. I want to get more pow, more vibrancy, just wake it up. And I'm really happy how this turned out. I think the sangria and the clay and the unifying of everything really just did it. Okay, so there we have, and then one last little touch of honey, just to give it the warmness. I'm making up things at this point because I really don't know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of like seeing. Going back over with honey in certain parts. It's like when you add a squeeze of lemon, to a final recipe. And then why not go again with sangria? Just pop it. If you want to pop it with sangria. Okay, I'm going to stop. And then I'm going to take that coordinating die from the red maple die set. I'm going to take this off camera and run it through my die cutting machine. Turns out fabulous. Now I'm taking a piece of that ivory cardstock included in the kit, and I'm trimming a panel 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. Okay, and then I'm going to get the lay of the land here with the maple. I'm going to crop it down on the bottom right of the card, but I wanted to kind of frame it. So I pulled out, this is the Basic Shape Circles die set, and I'm going to choose, I think this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th largest circle, and I'm going to just die cut that down in the bottom right corner, and this is going to sort of frame the maple leaf. I'm just building a composition. And then I created a white card base, an A2 white card base. I used some of that Big Mama foam tape on the back of this ivory die cut panel, popping it up on the white card base, and then I used little 3D foam squares by Simon Says Stamp on the leaf. And you can see there's a little bit hanging off. And then I'm going to flip this over and crop off that excess hanging off the edge. I'm using the large Spellbinders shears. They're my favorite for cropping large images. Okay, so there you have it. Now for a sentiment. I'm going to use the CZ Design Small Thanks stamp set. And then I also had the coordinating die from the Sugar and Spice collection. So if you have the coordinating die, that'll give you a little more mileage. If not, you got to get a little creative. But I love the fonts on these thanks. I'm going to emboss one in white on a strip of black cardstock. I'm using Simon Says Stamp white embossing powder. I prepped it with the powder tool, inked it up with Versamark ink, and then now I'm heating it with the heat gun. So the great thing about having the coordinating die is that you can just lay it over top of your leaf and your circle die cut out, and it gives you more, But you could also trim it. You could trim it if you didn't have the die. I'm going to stamp a little sub-sentiment from that same Small Thanks stamp set. For this one, I am trimming it with my little mini guillotine trimmer. I just stamped this with black ink, VersaFine, onto some white cardstock. And I love this little mini guillotine for trimming out sentiments. I don't know what it is about it, but I feel like I can get a straight cut with that thing. Okay, I use 3D foam squares for my embossed thanks, as well as the little sentiment strip, and I'm nestling that right below it. And then to finish it off, I got a few of these clear sequins. I'm kind of framing the sentiment, so 2 on the bottom, 3 on the top. I tuck one in behind the leaf. I love to tuck a sequin, love to tuck an embellishment. And then I'm using the Pawsitively Perfect craft glue. This card is finished. I love how this leaf turned out with the red maple layering stencil set. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.
Hi there, I'm Heidi, Simon's mama and founder at simonsaysstamp.com. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you like what you just saw, be sure to press the thumbs up and subscribe to see more great content.